Okay, good day, dear viewers. Information and communication technological tools are indeed very useful to our youth, but in as much as they use them, they are equally exposed to some dangers. My name is Gillet. You are welcome to Gillet Show today. In today's episode of Gillet Show, I will be bringing you a debate for your entertainment and education. The topic of our debate today is going to be information and communication technological tools are the major causes of degrading morals in our youth today. And on the affirmative side, we are going to have Professor Ngezem and Dr. Foche Kiara Anyaungne Eso. Dr. Foche and Professor Ngezem, you are welcome to the program today.
Thank you.
Okay, and on the opposing side, we are going to have Ndimbecha Ferdinand and Mr. Fonkem Eugene. Ndimbecha and Mr. Fonkem, you are very welcome to the program.
Thank you indeed.
Thank you very much, Gilles, for having us.
Okay, that said, we are equally going to have a panel of judges that are going to help us assess the performance of our debaters, headed by Dr. Nyaung Julius. Doctor, it's my utmost pleasure to have you in the program today.
Thank you so much, Gillette. Thank you so much, all the members of the debate panel, and welcome to this educative platform, dear viewers.
Thank you so much, Dr. Julius. We will also be having Dr. Grace Ashu as one of our judges. Dr. Grace, it's a great pleasure to have you in the program today.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a pleasure for me to be here. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. And we are equally going to have Barrister Bejeje Nkem as one of our judges. Barrister, I am honored to have you in the program today.
Thank you, Madam Gilliard. I'm equally delighted and elated to be part of the judges. This is academia.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That said, I would like to hand over the microphone to Dr. Julius, who is the chief judge, to give us the criteria with which they are going to use to assess the performance of our debaters, so that our debaters will very much know how to tender their arguments. Dr. Julius, you have the microphone.
Thank you once more, Gillette, and viewers, welcome to GASA Media. This is another show of importance in terms of education and entertainment. And to note, as previous debates have gone, it's for entertainment and education only. However, we have some criteria that we would use to evaluate both sides of the debate, the pro and the cons. There would be 5 key rubrics in grading. We would look at the way the sides organize their themes, their arguments, and the clarity with which they argue out their points. We would look at the way the reasons they give to support the different points that they raise within the argument. And then we shall also look at evidence-based arguments, so the examples that they give in order to also support their points. And then we shall look at the ways they also rebut other points based on facts, evidence-based, and then their style of presentation, especially how they grab audience attention, how they make their point very clear, but also how they reinforce their central ideas. So these 5 rubrics would be looked after when the debate is going on by Dr. Grace Ashu and Barrister Beze.
Thank you so much, Dr. Julius, for those wonderful criteria. That said, I would like to call the attention of our audience to understand that our debaters are just mere actors. And so the opinion they hold here may not reflect the opinion they normally hold in their normal daily lives. So whatever opinion they give here is meant for our education. So no one should misjudge them for the opinion they hold. Okay, that said, I would like to quickly hand over the microphone to the first speaker who is Professor Ngezem. Professor, you have just 5 minutes.
All right, thank you so much, fellow judges. panelists, moderator, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to debate on this topic, information and communication technology tools are the major cause of degrading morals in our youth today. ICT, as it is a bridge, is technology that allows us to search for information and to communicate with each other. Therefore, we stand firmly and strongly indeed that the moral degradation we experience in our children is the attendant consequence of use of technology. Who is a youth? United Nations defines youth as a person from age 15 to 24. And of course, there are many types of tools that we'll touch on. 95% of teens are connected to the internet. That is from credible source. That's Pew Research Center. This is not some Google stuff. 87% of young people experience bullying online this year, just 2020. So which tells us that bullying is part of that moral degradation, from which emanates many other consequences in our community. 85% are on social media. 77% says it was not part of their growing up. So I don't expect my opponents to dare blame the children for this situation. 69% say it has done something abusive to others online. These are raw statistics. 83% cyberbullied have also been bullied in person. And 69% say bullying online has led them to bully in person. My brothers and sisters, this is something that's palpable. Our argument is evidence-based. And some of the social media platforms that we can cite include Twitter. 9% use that. 10% use YouTube. 12% use WhatsApp. 31% use Snapchat. 37% use Facebook. And of course, Instagram has 42%. And the kids have suffered a moral degradation. And please, rest assured that this has affected our youth tremendously. For example, 9% of our children have begun to abuse alcohol and drugs. 14% have developed eating disorder. And 20% have started skipping classes. 24% stop using social media altogether. And of course, 25% engage in self-harm. And what do you know one thing? 26% have deleted their social media profiles. And 26% had contemplated suicide. And some have actually died. 37% have developed depression. And of course, 41% have developed social anxiety. This is the world in which we live. Therefore, my brothers and sisters, we strongly believe that the moral degradation in our society is yoked to the tools of technology that I've just listed, including other forms of technology. And one of them is cyber sex, for instance. You rest assured that 1 out of 4 youth, or 4 searches, so to say, online under Google are looking for pornography. No wonder, pornography is wreaking havoc on us. 1/3 internet users report unwanted exposure to sexual content. Therefore, my opponent should not just dare say that, no, they have a right to control themselves. It stares you in the face, it jumps into your life without you even planning for it. 2/3 of junior high school students have viewed online pornography. 34% of those students are at risk for developing compulsive online sexual behavior. And sadly, 8.9 million in the US need therapeutic intervention as a result of their addiction to cyber sex, violence, and other many issues that my opponent will share with you are some of the tools that we strongly agree that are consequent on the tools of social media, information and communication technology tools, all those things combined. And I know we can talk and talk. Because of time constraint, I don't want to talk for too long because they gave me just 5 minutes, but there's so much we can share. But I want my opponent, do not make a mistake to start blaming this on parents, because children will say, 79% of children will say that's not true. Do not start blaming on the environment or other factors, because by doing so, you will be gleefully dancing your way into the net of colossal defeat on this debate. With that, I rest my case for now.
Thank you so much, Professor. You are really very time conscious. Indeed, you respected the time. Okay, that said, I would like to hand over the microphone to the first speaker against. Njimbecha.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Moderator. We are happy with the figure, with the statistics that the opponent has just given. They seem very sobering and everyone would believe that, yes, this is true. But I want us to take ourselves to a different direction. What are ICTs? That's the first question that I ask. A broad variety of components comprise what we call ICT, or information communication technologies. This refers to all the communication technologies, including the internet, wireless networks, cell phones, computers, computer software, middleware, video conferencing, social networking, and other media applications and services, enabling users, underlying users, to access, retrieve, store, and transmit or manipulate information in a digital form. Now, I want us to look at this definition and pause for a while. Now, the most important aspect of this definition is the fact that these are tools, and as tools, they are passive, which means that they depend on us to either activate them or deactivate them. So, with all the figures of with all the figures that my opponent has just given, saying that children come online unwittingly get involved in all this and all that, let's look at it. From the definition above, it is clear that ICTs and technologies in general are tools in the hands of humans. The onus of good usage, therefore, falls on humans and not the tool that makes itself available for human exploitation. It would be going against the grain to argue that the world is not facing degradation in morals. We accept that the world is facing degradation in morals. But the key words here are users. The users access, they retrieve, they store, they transmit, and they manipulate information. So you cannot blame the tool. There is a popular song when we're growing up. It goes like this. La route ne tue pas, mais c'est nous qui tuons à cause des nombreuses maladresses. Now, what does it say? The road doesn't kill, but we are the ones that kill because of our awkward use of these resources. So the internet, the new information technologies and all the rest, they don't kill. As Professor Hicks of the University of Manchester has said, people kill via the wrong usage of these tools, which are placed in their hands. I can choose to use a hammer to kill, as I can use the hammer to construct a house. That hammer takes no credit for the good work. But if the hammer fails to do the job, I blame it, forgetting that the hammer only responds to the way I wield it. Thus, the argument that ICTs are just tools and we would only be bad workmen. In this case, bad human beings, bad social actors who believe that this tool is bad because we don't know how to use it. We haven't been able to use it in the proper way. And because we haven't been able to use it in the proper way, we blame it on the tool. A bad workman would always blame his tool. A bad parent would say internet is not good. But what are the ways that the parents bring the children onto this new communication technology? Now, on the second part, let's look at how technology is a reflection of the society. The society is rotten, and this gets reflected in the technology. We all grew up in Cameroon in the early days when we saw that music before, you could not sing about sex. But then people started singing about sex. Why did they sing about sex? Because the society became immoral and reflected itself in these products. The same way, if you find sex online, if you find bullying online and all the rest, it is not this medium that creates bullying. It is not this medium that creates the sex. It is the society that creates it and dumps it on this medium. So the medium is barely reflecting our weaknesses, the breakdown in social order. Let me end here for now. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Njimbecha. Indeed, you respected the time. Okay, I would like to hand over the microphone to the second speaker for.
Good evening, everyone, all protocol respected. I will dive directly into the talk. Thank you very much, Mbecha, for all what you have said. I still stand for the fact that information and communication technology tools are a major cause for degradation morals in our youth today. You just mentioned that they are just tools, and if everyone has a right to decide on how to use the tool. Well, some people, as my other colleague said before, people don't even want to use those tools sometimes, but they have to use them. Look, for example, a student who has to do research for his or her homework goes online and is Google searching just for an article for her to answer a question that has been posed in class. And suddenly you see other things popping up in terms of the name of adverts. The student was not even going to search for that, but it just popped up on the computer. Okay, using the internet. Others, they want to belong to their peer group. You will know very well when in our days where we didn't have internet, but we always belong to our group. So we still would like to belong to our different groups. And for that reason, if my friend has a phone, it's somehow just almost all normal that I will also like to have it. And in the case when I have the phone, suddenly I want to check maybe a discussion with my friend. My friend has put something on YouTube. I want to look at it. What comes up? Other things that I didn't want to see. People advertising every type of thing. I take an example simply for my Yahoo email. I go in, I want to check my email. I can't count the number of things that I see by the side of the screen. Some are very tempting, and suddenly you could just click on them and you go watching. What happens? You start getting information that you didn't want to get. And all these things, those are some of the things that we say that these communication tools are bringing degradation in morals, because some of the information that we get there, especially our youth, is not information that was even for their age. Parents are not there even to look at them, are not there even to see what they are doing at the moment, because they were doing their homework or they were just checking something. So we cannot always be there as parents to see. So I want to still stand by the fact that information technology tools, in as much as they are so good, they also really expose our youth and everyone to degrading morals. And you know, also previously, in those days where there were no information communication tools, parents used to sit around the fireside in the evenings and they are telling their children stories and giving them good morals. Nowadays, I can ask here in this house, how many parents here have that opportunity again to sit with their children in the evening, to talk and maybe transmit our culture to them? All these things are gone. What happens? We come, everyone is sitting and watching television, and everyone is on his or her own tablet. That's the new norm. And they're learning different types of things. Whether they like it or not, we have become addicted to these things because they exist. And the information that we get there all the time is not that good. So so I just wish to say that I still stand for the fact that these tools are good, but they have also led to degrading morals, especially in our youth today, because they really don't know what is right or wrong. And people who were supposed to guide them are not always there. So we can't say that the tools didn't contribute to degradation in morals. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kiara, for those wonderful points. Now, let's listen to the second speaker again. Mr. Fonkem.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. All protocols duly respected. I just wish to start by going directly to the point that Dr. Kieda raised. When you say if you are doing research online, it's very true. Many of us do fall on things that are very tempting. But what do? You make a choice on what you have to see, because those things are there for people to decide on the way they use it. just like the hammer that my colleague made allusion to. So if you are really brought up in the way that the society, that you should be able to have some sort of self-restraint, I think those are some of the things that you should be able to hold onto yourself. At this point, the question I would beg to ask is, for those of us, I guess most of us in this house do know, and probably at one point might have heard somebody give reference to Bibles. The Bible says, bring up your children the way that when they grow up, they won't depart from it. So in this case, definitely we as parents won't be there to be able to control what the children do in school. That is true. We totally agree with you. But come to think about this. If you bring up a child in the right way, I think when that child suddenly sees something that is tempting, what do you think that child will do? The child will have some sort of self-restraint. I will give you an example. I have a 19-year-old child who's not been staying with us for the past 2 years since we moved, because he was already in his school. Okay. We have confidence in that child. I don't have any doubt what he does, where he is. He only comes back to visit us during holidays or during weekends. So at that time, I'm not there to control that child, but I can assure you that that child is doing perfectly well. Why am I alluding to this? I'm saying that I laid down a foundation that this child is able to stand on to be what he is today, even when I'm not there. So at one point, when we're talking, we should not also forget that the parents themselves, they have a blame. Because when you look at what the children do today, and we say, well, we have given the children to the teachers to take care, to have some control, because the teachers are in school teaching these children. But what do? We fail to understand that the teachers only have probably 7 hours a day, and the parents do have their responsibility back home to also teach these children the way that they need to follow. Gone are the days when our parents would work together in order to discipline these children. Those things are gone, because the society is down. The society has shifted to the left, such that you do not even have the right to discipline a child. That was the case. I grew up living in my Kera, you know me so well. I lived right from one all alone. My parents were never there. They laid a good foundation for me. And during those days, my father would march to school when I committed a crime. I remember my last year in primary school, my father came to school and beat me in front of other children. That was setting a record. But what do we do today? A teacher there touches a child, the parent marches to school, and they beat the teacher. So what do you expect? You tell the children, the teacher, and the children that, well, you have the right to do whatsoever thing you're doing, because if the teacher does anything for you, I will stand up for you. So in that case, the teacher have withdrawn, and the parents, on the other hand, have not taken the relay, therefore leading the children to what we experience today. I want also to bring you to what you said about peers pressure. It is very true. We face those peers pressure every day. But Dr. Kiera, Honorable Professor Ngezem, and my colleague, Dr. Mbecha, all of us went to school, and the audience, all of us went to school. Why are we here today? Did everybody get to where we are today? No. Some of us resisted. Some were able to stand up to those challenges. Okay. It's either, meaning that it's not the social or the ICT that's causing the problem. It's those choices that we make as individuals. When we get up today at one point and knowing that we did not do anything, we have children in the house that today, and we are very proud of them. There's nothing that we regret of what those children are doing. I guess all of you, just like myself. But the question is, if your children are doing great, the other question you should ask, why others' children? It's not about internet. All of us have access to those internet. And one other thing that I want to raise here is, back home, the children do not have access to internet as many other children do here. But the question is, if you look at, because we are not against the fact that the society, the moral is not declining. But the question is, when you look at the way children use that internet, you ask a question. Why is it that the majority of those who have access to internet feel even better than those of them, the minority, who do not have access to internet? How many people have internet back home? And if you compare the morals decay among those who have access to internet and those who do not have access to internet, you see that it's either equal, or those who do not have internet, their own is even more. meaning that it's not actually internet as a cause, because people, even before the advent of internet, the morals was already down. And one other question I want to say here is, you see, I want to give you one good experience when I first went to Belgium. I was going to school using a train. And guess what? I went to a bus stop at a stop station of Brussels. And guess what I saw? Through the train, the window, you could see a pawn shop with ladies standing there naked. So this is one of the responsibility of the government. Kiera, you know this so well. This is the responsibility of the government to try to censor most of these things. What do you expect when a child passing in a train, not going there, but passing in a train, experiencing these things? What do you expect that child will do? Probably tomorrow, those childs who do not have self-restraint want to bounce back there tomorrow to see it. Are they the cause? Is it because of the social network or ICT? I think the problem.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fonkem. Your time is up.
The government
thank you so much.
Take some steps to be able to
Mr. Fonkem, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Fonkem, for those powerful points. I would like to give an opportunity to the affirmative side to decide who is going to be the rebuttal speaker.
All right, this is Professor Ngezem. Okay, first of all, I'm very happy that the members of the jury are very smart people. They should pay attention to the fact that both my opponent, none of them mentioned the word youth. They never mentioned the word youth. One was talking about user, the other is talking about children. Those are two different things, and that's very critical. And the first speaker also mentioned the fact that he argued that the tools are not responsible for this, that the hammer we should blame the carpenter and not the hammer. It is not true. Bad tools can also produce bad work. That's a fact. La rue ne tue pas. It's not true. Road keys, if you have bad bridges, cars will crash down. If you have potholes, people will fling over. Those are things that they used to say back home, but they don't hold water any longer. And also important, note that the fact that we succeeded, as the second speaker said, doesn't mean that we are morally righteous. Morality has nothing to do with where we are. Even amongst us, as we see now, you don't know how people watch pornography before coming here tonight. So we can't rest that on the fact that being here is because of certain moral probity. And you can't blame this on parents either. For example, 70% of children hide their online behavior from parents. That is a fact. 59% clear their browser when the parents step in. Your 19-year-old child, you may see that child as a perfect child. You don't know, you can never just know what children do. There are many parents who will be disappointed at the end. I hope it's not your portion. But I can tell you that it's possible that child can be the 93% of children who clear their browser when the father steps in. That child can be the 46% of children who minimize their browser when the parents walk in. That child can be the 35% who hide or delete their videos on IMS. It could be 23% who lie or omit details about online activities. That child can be the 23% who use computer their parents are not aware of. And the list goes on. Therefore, it could also be children, 21% of them who use internet that nobody is aware of. It can be 20% who use privacy settings to make certain content viewable only by friends. It can be 20% who use private browsing. It can be 15% who create private emails to address so that parents are not aware, and so on and so on. And therefore, when you keep talking about children controlling their children, even in Cameroon, for example, the Cameroon Penal Code of 2016, Article 346, clearly states that the age of consent is 16 years. It means that when the youth as defined by UN is 15 to 24, there are certain moments that you can no longer control your child. But we are talking about the youth here. We continue to argue that technology is the major tool through which major degradation or collapse is experienced. We insist on that. And yes, of course, we still strongly believe that that has caused a major collapse in our moral standing in society today. So we shouldn't blame the parents. We shouldn't blame any other thing. We should blame technology. As my intelligent partner said, you go, none of you would tell me that you've never gone online and something has popped before you realize you are glued to the TV or to the internet for a few minutes before, wait a minute, I'm a Christian, you back off. Those are things we are talking about. Take away these useless tools and the level of collapse will disintegrate. That is all I can say at this time. And by conclusion, I insist Yes, we completely agree that information and communication technology tools are the major cause of degrading morals. Remember, major. Our company may pick little things over there, wherever they want to pick them, but the major, our emphasis on the word major here. Major is the key word, and I hope the judges are paying attention. We are not saying there are no other things a factor. We are saying the major. I assume my learned colleagues mistakenly overlooked the word major here. So we emphasize on major and we rest our case that morality is in collapse, there's sexual abuse, there's cyber sex. Just 3 years ago, 16,000 girls in New York City went for breast enlargement for graduation. They wanted to enlarge their breasts so that people they'll pass on the stage and people will say, oh, wow. They don't even think after that, what do you go with that? No, that's a fact. Many have died. This is an emotional appeal. And indeed, some have died. Many have been bullied. Let's not blame the parents. Let's not blame the children. Let's be aware that technology has has laid us a bad blow. Even if it has advantages, we're not saying you cancel it, but just acknowledge that it has a serious moral consequence on our youth. With that, once more, I rest.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Ngezem. That said, I would like to hand over the microphone to the rebuttal speaker against.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Moderator, and I respect the opinion of the affirmative side. But we are missing a point here. When you say that technology is the major cause of youth moral decadence, you seem to make it appear that without technology, youth moral decadence would not exist. No, that is not it. Now let's go back to this saying by Greg Lopez. He says society as a multicultural organism does not depend on social media to exist, but social media as a communication vehicle is extremely dependent on the way culture is expressed and how societal interactions are made and experienced. Now, what does this mean? This means that when you are clicking on the internet and going, and you come across porn, who puts that porn there? You are only looking at that website where porn has been put. But who puts the porn there? That porn has been put by a human being. It has been created in a society and dumped on the internet. And then the child comes across. So what we are saying is that the youth who come across porn on the internet are only coming across this porn because the internet is a reflection of a rotten society. The society that is rotten and decides to use the internet as a tool for expressing its rottenness. Now, when we talk about peer pressure exists with or without technology tools. It will always be there and it will push people. Now, I think our opponents also confirmed the fact that we said parents are really failing. How did they confirm the fact? They said the absence of fireside evening talk, storytelling, and all the rest. Did technology ask you to abandon it? You abandoned it for technology. It's not the other way around that technology beckoned you to come. You abandoned your storytelling at the fireside and embraced technology. So the fault goes to you. Now let's look at the rate at which students are attacking teachers in Cameroon. I discussed with a social media developer in Cameroon because I wanted to launch an application targeting the youth and education. And he told me that he did a study and found out that about 80% of secondary school students don't have access to Android devices. Now, look at it this way. But then there is a heightened usage of tramadol in schools. There's a heightened killing of teachers, attack on friends, and lots of things that are going on. All these things are a reflection of the relaxed roles. Now, in the Cameroon system, for example, girls are allowed, if they are pregnant, to go to school, to take a maternity leave. and then come back. And studies show that this law in particular led to the rise in teen pregnancy because girls took it cool to be pregnant, go home, have your baby, and come back. Now, the introduction of sex education, for example, is also another aspect that which, no matter how good it is, it liberates sex. So what you are trying to say here that the tool is a bad tool and causes the majority of the problems that the youth are facing. We are saying, no, you misunderstand it. It only reflects the majority of the offline activities of the society that is then placed at the disposal of the vulnerable youths who absorb it. Now, reform yourself internally, reform the society, and this technology tool will have no problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and Jimbecha, for those wonderful points. Okay, I would like to call on the affirmative side to give us one person to conclude from their side in 2 minutes.
Oh, is Dr. Kiara?
Sorry, I was on mute.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you, Madam Moderator. I stand on our opinion that information and communication technology tools are a major cause for moral degradation in our youth today. You've raised a couple of points that it's the way the society is that is reflected in the tools. We did not say that those two are all bad, but we say that one of the side effects, one of the negative effects of those tools is moral degradation. It's a major cause. There are other causes like the ones you have highlighted, but it doesn't cancel the fact that ICT also contributes greatly to moral degradation. You can think that parents have abandoned their duty. They are also struggling with this. Take, for example, what has happened in Cameroon, where most of us come from. They cut down internet. Why? Because they knew that it had an effect on the situation that was on the ground. They kept doing that many times. And that has not happened only in Cameroon. It has happened in many other countries. There are different countries that don't even want to have internet. And they cut it down when situations come up. Why? Because this is a tool which is useful, but they have seen how this tool negatively impact populations. Whether we like it or not, it's a fact. We can struggle with it, but it's a fact that we have encountered. And if you say that many Cameroon youth from that study don't really use Android devices, that study, I don't know how it was carried out, but as my legal colleague has said before, our children use tools that we don't even know about. They may not have it, but their friend has, and they are using it together. And the fact that they don't even have it to use it when we are there is even worse, because they know that it's bad and they hide and use it. We can't control them. And as already said, even by your colleague, we parents, sometimes we don't have control over our children. And also laws detect what we have to do, and so on and so forth. So they are exposed to all this information, whether they like it or not. And that is the problem. And if technology tools were not there, some of this will not be exposed to them. And that's the point. I would also like to oh, sorry, I guess I see my time is up. But I stand for the fact, and we have given you all our statistics and all the points to back our argument that information and communication technology tools are a major cause. There are other causes, but this one contributes majorly to moral degradation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kiara, for those wonderful counter points. Okay, I would like to give an opportunity to the opposing side to give us one person who is going to conclude in 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Gillet. Also want to thank our opponent on the other side for laying a good case for us. I want to assure you, Dr. Kiara, that the allusion that you made of a Cameroon shutting down the internet just shows us not because the government cares about our society, but it isn't just because of the authoritarian system of government that they don't want the people to dish out the information that goes against them. I want to quote a law professor here, Professor Edward Lee Robin of the law professor on political science of the University of Vanderbilt Law School, who says that our government is filled with people who are morally bankrupt. In this case, the government is not doing good for our children, because if this government was actually there to do good for these children, they will definitely be doing some censors on the things that we do. They will definitely not be opening pawn shops closer to schools, making it accessible to children. They will definitely not be liberalizing the society and bringing laws that limits the parents' control over the children. Because I doubt, as your Professor Ngezem listed, you said children at the age of 16. And the question I beg to answer, to ask here is, how many children at the age of 16 can definitely take a reasonable decision that impacts their future? So if you see a government that is liberalizing a society like that and saying that, well, you can go the way you want, you can drive at a speed that you want, it's because the government lacks that capacity, that will to be able to control that society. Because at one point, the government will say, well, it would take me a lot of resources in order to put this safeguards in place. So the fact that the government is doing that is not because of not because they want to do it for the interest of the society, but for their own selfish interest. So, but we stand on the fact that ICT is a cause of the degrading society, problem of the society, as all of us agree, but it's not the main cause. Other causes are there, which you and I have listed. So we will rest our case here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fonkem, for those powerful counter arguments. Okay, that said, I would like to call on the judges to give us their comments. I will begin from the Chief Judge, Dr. Julius. Let's listen to your comments, please.
Thank you so much, moderator. Thank you, the team for Professor Ngezem, Dr. Focha. I got some good insights from you. Thank you so much, the team against. I think you guys presented also some well thought out points. I will just draw, say, an objective view from what I see and the way forward from my own perspective, and probably from a pragmatic perspective. I think figures showing the amount of children online and the impact that children suffer because of exposure at an early age to online pornography and other stuff, it's startling. And I think it requires some effort in order to address that. So for me, or for any listener, I think the most thing would be, is it good or is it bad? Would be based on one, the impact, but two, the opposing team has discussed about the morality issue of society. So is it all right? Are the morals, does the culture have to play a role? So these 2 points themselves, the impact, are these figures from developed societies? Because I think they also argued that, well, if you look at students in Cameroon, developing societies that don't have the tools, they don't tend to see that quite often. So I think this debate, and Gaza media should maybe explore this debate further. It's so interesting that you look at things from a holistic perspective, in that, well, does the availability of the tools, does it increase exposure, and therefore does it increase, or does it lead to a greater impact negatively? Or does the culture, the concept of morality, we understand, will also be underpinned by the culture of the people? So why certain societies might view certain morals as good, other societies that are more restrictive might view the same morals as not being so good. So it brings us this. So in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say here is I can draw on certain points of contention that probably would require further debates to settle this. I don't know. That's from my own perspective, that we should look at the impact that exposure has to be able to determine whether they are good or not. But we should also look at morality in itself. And morality would be underpinned by the values of a particular society, the norms, which are the culture, the prevailing culture, but also to look at the availability of the tools or the non-availability of the tools in relation to the impact, because whatever policy or whatever position we are taking would depend on the impact, the morality issues or the values, but also the degree to which such tools are available or not to the students. So in a nutshell, with protocol duly respected, I see viewers like Dr. Ndin Kambela there and so on. I think this is brilliant, and it opens up other avenues for more debate and more clarifications to be made. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor. Okay, I would like to hand over the microphone to Dr. Grace to give us her own point of view. Dr. Grace, how did you find the debate?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, all the debaters, Professor Grezem, Dr. Kiara, Zim Becher, and Mr. Fonkem. Really, I think we really learned a lot from this. And Dr. Julius earlier said, there are a lot of avenues that this debate could either go. We can see that even though both sides, you see, I know those that were against, they gave us a lot of statistics. These are all online, of course. We can see all those. And from my own perspective, statistics, when you look at the statistics and the numbers, you see that this is really alarming. However, those that argue also against, we look at the moral part of it. The society itself is moral bankrupt. As we can say, the culture. We can also look at our culture, and not only looking at that, just from my own perspective also. We look at the youth, but parents, we can also look at the parents. Parents have a lot to do here. Most of our parents, especially our African parents, when it comes to using the internet, and also, just giving this gadget to the children. Most parents, those that are learned, yes, they try to control some of this, but most people don't. Even at, not even the youth, even at the early stage, the young ones, those that are still 5 years old and all that, they spend more time on the internet and they're not controlled at all. We had very good points from both sides and you did a very excellent job. Just one thing to add also is that as most of people, we should be able to look at our children, how the way we are bringing up these children, what we give to them, internet. Parents, when we look at the internet, even going back to schools, as we say, is that parents have all this thing that they can control this internet, but the children, as you see, the children have some, what can I say? Even though all this, you can put all this in the computers, but you don't know what the children are doing. We need to we need to train our children a little bit more. We need to talk to the children.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Moral background. That's one thing I'm bringing. And also, just a conclusion, this was really very good. And both teams did an excellent job. And I love the statistics part of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Let's listen to Barrister Beze. Barrister, your comment, please.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Yeah, I actually appreciate the debaters. They were well chosen, people all of level-headed. I actually like to appreciate our Chief Judge, Dr. Julius, for the points he adumbrated, which shall mark as the guide to us. It talks about the clarity. It talks about good structure of presentation, effective use of examples, effective tone, volume, and central idea, refer the central idea. So all this has been well adumbrated by all the debaters. Now, looking at it from another perspective, I diagnose that when we talk about debate, we should try to avoid personalizing things. Don't personalize. You have to give facts, statistics. You don't personalize, but it was done. Diagnosed were given, but no references to buttressing. Statistics go to reference. Tell us, check this place. When you give statistics without reference to us in the legal sense, it's good for the legal dustbin. At the close of it, when we look at the word major cause of degrading morals in our youth, talking about moral decadence of our youth, was well adumbrated by the professor. Either as it may, the word youth is problematic. Youth normally ranges between 0 to 21 years, but today I've heard of 15 to 24 years, so at least we've learned. No, we learn every day. Finally, this is academia. We are here as per the moderator. She said, she started with a disclaimer that all what they are saying here doesn't reflect their views. That's good of her. That's a good disclaimer. This is academia. So everything was well analyzed. But at the end of the day, we shall with a raising score, which will be given to.
Okay, thank you so much, Barrister. Thank you for your observation, for your comments. Okay, that said, I would like to leave the judges and give them some time to be able to tally their scores and text me privately. While they continue to do that, I would like to give an opportunity to those in the audience, I mean 2 persons from the audience, to give us their opinion as regards this topic of today. The topic is information and communication technological tools are the major causes of degrading morals in our youth today. So I need 1 person who is of the opinion for and 1 person who is of the opinion against. So I don't know if somebody can just opt from the audience.
Madam Moderator, I'm against that information. I'm against that, so I can maybe I can speak for against.
Okay, Dr. Edmond, you're welcome.
It's hard to go against your good friend, Dr. Gez, I mean Professor Gezem, and also the wonderful, eloquence of Dr. Kiera. But I have to say that I think I agree with Dr. Mbecha on one issue, that the information technology, the platforms are a neutral quantity. And as such, people have a right on how to use them. And I would say information technology as it is, it's like the journal's Greek god, as we've always said. One side is bad, one side is evil. But the fact that we are actually here talking to all of us is because of that information technology. Without that information technology, none of us would even be able to actually get this. And the very, very chilling statistics that Professor Gezem gave, that chilling statistic is you cannot plot a graph with one data point. If it would have been good if we got some data pre-information technology and post-information technology. That information doesn't exist. But whether you go back to the Bible, which is several thousand years old, the Quran, any book of faith, you always see that the problem of society has always been a problem of degradation of morals. And when it comes to moral itself, what morals are you talking about? Are you a moral absolutist or a moral relativist? So moral relativism. And so in terms of moral relativism, you have to agree that what may be moral for you may not be moral for me. Moral absolutism means that we have one set of rules forever, and I mean for everybody. And the moral absolutism, if you realize, has been the cause of major conflict in the world, leading to so many disasters and wars. And that's actually what breeds, radicalism, because everybody says this is right. And take Sharia law, for instance. Take the Christian faith, the Christian extremists, for instance. They tell you, if you don't agree to this, then you are wrong. And therefore, that has been the source of conflict. So for that reason, I think that the information technology, if you need to expose your children and actually teach them, and the fact that, and our learned legal barrister knows this all too well, that the absence of evidence doesn't mean evidence of absence. So the fact that we have not seen a lot of these things before amongst your youth, if you don't see your child watching pornography, doesn't mean that they don't watch it, whether it is on information technology or on TV or not, whether it is on internet or not. Many of us know growing up that you go to the corner street somewhere at night, you see so many things that you wouldn't really want, you never really wanted to see, or you would have loved to see. But that's the human mind. The human mind is so curious, and it is flawed with all this information traversing right, left, and center. All we can do is train the kids how to use it. Let them, if you don't know what is good, how do you know what is bad? If you don't know what is bad, how do you know what is good? That's why it comes down to saying, I favor the argument that this is against, and I'm against it. And we should really concentrate more on training our children and how to be better users of this information technology. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Edmond. Your contribution is very well received. Okay, let's listen to Ndin Kembele. Dr. Kembele.
No, I just want to give an opportunity to Professor Focha, who has been up since, to talk, and then I can talk.
Okay, Professor.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm not actually a GASA, but I'm a guest. I think I graduated from school before the school was open. So I'm very impressed with the platform and what you guys are doing. So I just thought I should participate. I want to take the other side, but I'm happy to comment the other way around. I think the people who were against never really told me what aspect of morality they were talking about. So it was difficult to know what they were arguing for. There were a lot of good statistics given in terms of the challenges and the moral issues that information technology is bringing to the society, not only for kids, but for everybody. And I thought those are really powerful things. So to think that it's not having a major impact, I think from a theoretical concept, I think it's having a major impact morally, which needs to be dealt with. Whether we blame it or not is a different thing from whether it's having an impact or not. If you look at, for example, the issue of fake news and the consequence on children grow up, because I think morality, I'm just limited to the issue of growing as a responsible human being, right? And whether you watch porno or not, is whether you have the moral issues to grow up as a responsible human being. The amount of fake news, for example, that you have no control over through information technology, I think degrades a lot of morals for youth in particular who are still learning how to grow and who are excited the information. I'm not going to argue two sides because I can only argue on one side for now. To argue three sides, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor. Wow, that's it. I have already received the scores from our judges, and from the look of things, the debaters did a very good job, because when I look at the scores I have here, they are just to tell me that, in fact, both sides did a great job. So, but in every battle, dear viewers, there must be a winner and a loser. So, on that note, those who were against the fact that ICT tools are the major causes of degrading morals in our youth today. Scored 9.6 on 10. Let's give them a well done clap, please. While those who were for the fact that information and communication technological tools are the major causes of degrading morals in our youth today scored 9.75 on 10. Let's give them a well done clap. Okay, dear viewers, that said, we have come to the end of our debate forum this evening. I want to use this opportunity to thank our debaters immensely for making themselves available, for doing a wonderful job. They have done great research to come out with these wonderful points that they have brought, to the benefit of our audience, to the benefit of the whole public. I believe that we have learned one or two things from them. So indeed, we want to appreciate equally our judges who were here, and they did a wonderful job to grade the performance of the debaters. I will not leave out our audience, because without you, whatever we are doing here will be useless, because we have to have you to watch, the performance of the debaters. We are very grateful that you came. I'm equally using this opportunity to thank the entire GASA media team for offering us this platform through which we can reach out to the public, to give such educative talk or educative debate to the benefit of the public. That said, I want to thank everyone. Thank you, dear viewers, for watching us in today's program. We want to encourage you to continue to stay tuned to our subsequent programs, and don't forget to always subscribe to our GASA Media YouTube channel. Make sure you turn on your signal so that anytime we upload a new video, you will be the first to receive a signal. We have a lot of educative programs. And hey, don't forget to share our videos to your friends and loved ones, and also leave us a comment so that we can be able to know how we are doing. Thank you so much, and do have a wonderful day ahead.